Hello everyone. Today we are going to start lecture 01 of class 8 mathematics chapter number 8, which is comparing quantities. In this particular chapter we are going to talk about percentage, its applications like selling price, cost price and discounts, and also we are going to talk about compound interest and its applications. So let us start the lecture by defining the word percentage. Now the word percent is made up from two things, which is per and second is cent. Now this per means actually the ratio, that is 1 upon something, and what something? Cent. Cent means 100. So percent is nothing but it is something per 100. Okay, so let us start by defining that percent means per 100 or for every 100, right? So percent actually means per 100 or every 100. Now by a certain percent we mean that many hundreds. What? By a certain percent. Suppose you get 78%, right? Percent is a very commonly used quantity, and you maximum time you use it for telling your aggregate percentage, that is your academic performance, right? Suppose in class 12 you had 5 subjects and overall score was 72%. So that 72% means what? 72 hundreds. That if your 5 subjects are divided into 100 parts, 100 equal parts, then you got 72 parts out of 100. Okay, so by a certain percent we mean that many. How many? Whatever is the percentage, we mean that many hundreds. This 100 mean 1 upon 100. Okay, let me write it here, that what 100 is equals to 1 upon 100. Okay, so suppose you got 78%, that basically means you got 78 into 1 upon 100, that is 78 out of 100. So that is what I am telling, that if there are 5 subjects and you say, sir, that we have 500 marks, how can you divide it in 100? I will say that okay, make group of 5 marks. So one group of 5 marks will form how many groups? 100 groups, and you will get 500 marks. Okay, so there are 100 equal groups of 500 marks in which one group contains 5 marks. So that particular group is what? 1 upon 100, that is 1%. So 5 marks will give you 1%. So suppose you got 400 marks out of 500 in total. This simply means that you got 80% because you have 80 groups out of those 100 groups. Okay, we'll explore this particular concept more in this lecture, but for now understand that 100 is equals to 1 upon 100 and certain percent means that many hundreds. Okay, and what is the symbol we use for percentage? The symbol, this symbol, you must have seen this symbol, 2 dots and a slash over here is used. The symbol percent is used to express the word percent. Okay, so we use this particular symbol to express the word percent, but what percent actually means? Per 100. Okay, that is percent. Cent actually means 100. Okay, that is another word you can say for 100. For example, you have seen about centimeter. Centimeter is what? It is 1 by 100th of a meter. Okay, so you in that way you can take it. Okay, so let us ask a very important question, that how do we represent a percent as a fraction, right? For example, suppose you have half of the pens, half of the total pens of suppose you have 100 pens, so half of the pens are what? Red, and half of them are suppose black. So what is the percentage of the pens that are red? You will say, so 50% 50% of my pens are black and 50% of my pens are red. So how did you calculate that 50%? Because initially you gave me a fraction, you said that half, that is 1 by 2 of the total pens are red and 1 by 2 are what? Black. So how did you calculate the percent? It is very simple. If you want to calculate it, it is very simple. A fraction, we are talking about a percentage is a fraction, right? So a fraction with denominator as 100 is called a fraction with denominator as 100 is called a percent and is equal percent and is equal to that percent and is equal to that percent as is the numerator. So basically what you are saying that whatever be the numerator, if you make denominator as 100, then it is that many percent as the numerator. Okay, so let me give you an example. That is, suppose we have 75 and luckily the denominator is 100 only. Okay, so this simply means that 75% exactly. What the statement says is if your denominator is 100, then no matter what is your numerator, that many percentage you have. So if I go by the concept what I have taught you, that this is 75 into 1 upon 100 and that 1 by 100 is called 100th. Okay, so we have 75 hundredths, and we just talked in the definition of percentage that this means that 75 hundredths means 75 per 100. See, 1 upon 100 per 100, 75 per 100, so you will write it 75%. So you have just converted a fraction as a percentage, right? So you can write percentage as a fraction or a fraction as a percentage. It is very easy. Okay, you just remember one thing. I will give you a golden rule how to remember this. Just remember one thing, that this particular symbol means 1 upon 100. Wherever you find 1 upon 100, just remove this 1 upon 100, absorb it and replace it by that. We had 1 upon 100, we just absorbed 1 by 100 with this. Similarly, if you have to remove the percentage, just instead in place of this percent put 1 upon 100 and you can remove it successfully. That is the golden rule. You should always remember the value of this particular symbol, which is nothing but 1 upon 100. Now let us talk about percentage as a ratio. So percent as a fraction and percent as a ratio is one and the same thing. That fraction is something similar to the ratio. So you can say a ratio. Basically, ratio is written in a single line and percentage is written. Suppose you write percentage like this, so in ratio you will write it like this. Okay, so you can easily in your notebook you can represent it in a single line. So we are using the term for denominator, which is second term. A ratio with its second term. So what second terms means? If A ratio B, then B is the second term. Okay, so a ratio with its second term 100 is also called a percent. For example, 7 ratio 100 is equals to 7 upon 100. Yes, this ratio is basically written in a single line and you have to use 2 lines of your notebook to write a fraction. So that is the basic difference, nothing else. 7 upon 100, which actually simply means 7%. I told you just remove 1 upon 100 and put percentage in place of it, right? So this was percent as a ratio. Now let us understand how to convert percent into a fraction. Suppose you are given some percent and you have to find the fraction. So how do you do that? So let us understand with the steps. Now to convert a percent into a fraction, comma, we drop percent sign. See, I told you we drop percent sign. You have to remove percent sign and just divide the number by 100. That is add 1 upon 100. Okay, multiply by 1 upon 100, sorry, and divide the number by 100. So remove percent and use 1 upon 100 and you will get the fraction. Okay, so drop the percent sign and divide the number by 100. Okay, thus x percent actually means remove this x, you will get x upon 100. If you want an example, let us take an example. For example, suppose 58%. 58% is what? 58 upon 100. Divide the number, that is into 1 upon 100. Okay, so 58 into 1 upon 100, that is 58 upon 100. If you cancel them out, it would be 29 upon 50. Right? So that is how you convert a percent into a fraction. Similarly, if you are given a fraction and you want to convert it into percent, what you will do? Again, you will just identify 1 upon 100 and you will replace 1 upon 100 by the percentage sign. Okay. So to convert a fraction into a percent, we multiply the fraction by 100. To convert a fraction into a percent, we multiply the fraction by 100. Why? Actually, we multiply the fraction by 100 because for converting it to percent, it was divided by 100. Okay, I'll tell you how. Multiply the fraction by 100 and put the percentage sign to obtain the required percent. Okay, multiply the fraction by 100 and you can continue and put the percent sign, that is this sign, to obtain the required percent. Okay, so we have to just obtain the required percent. So what is the procedure? Take the fraction, okay, multiply the fraction by 100 and put the percentage sign. See, what actually you are doing is, see, we all know that multiplying and dividing by the same number does not make any change. See, what if it is you are doing that thing only, it is equivalent. What actually you are doing is you are multiplying by 100, dividing by 100. So basically you are doing this. Now you are multiplying by 100, which is visible, but silently you are using this particular thing and adding percentage. So what is it? You are doing same thing. You are multiplying and dividing by 100. That is why I told you in the starting of the lecture that just remember one thing. Wherever you see percentage, put 1 upon 100. Wherever you can make 1 upon 100, you can write percentage. Let me give you an example. Simple example. Okay. So we can say thus A upon B is what? A upon B into 100 multiply by 100 and put a percent sign. Now simply if you remove this percent sign, you will have 1 upon 100. 100 will cancel out by 100 and you will get A by B. Simple. It is that simple, right? If you want, you can add some examples also. Okay, let us take one example or one or two examples to calculate how we actually find a percent from a fraction. Okay, let us take an example. Suppose you are given 4 upon 5. Then 4 upon 5 is what? Multiply by 100, and at the same time you are dividing by 100. That divide goes into the percentage symbol. So 4 upon 5, that is 4 parts out of the 5 parts. Means what? It means that we multiply with this, we'll cancel them out, and it will be 80%. Now what 80% actually means, that 80 parts out of the 100. See, percent means per 100. So you have to make the quantity 100. Suppose if it is not, there are 5 pens and you have 4 pens. So you already have 80%. But how did you calculate? See, what I have created an imaginary situation which I am assuming that you are not having 5 pens but you are having 100 pens. Then how many pens do I have? Okay, so to make you 100, I would multiply by 20. Similarly, I have to multiply numerator also by 20. So it would be 80 upon 100. That is 80%. So that is basically means percentage. Okay, so calculating a fraction. Okay, let us take one more example. So what is 6 is to 5? Okay, so we have taken a ratio. So it would be 6 upon 5. Now see, 6 upon 5, you can clearly see 6 out of 5. So if you multiply 5 by 20 to make it 100, numerator would also be multiplied by the same number 20. So it would be 120 upon 100. So it would be 120%. And yes, percentage can be greater than 100. Okay. So according to the method, we just multiply by 100 and put a percentage symbol here. So cancelling them out, 5 will cancel out 100 for 20 and it would be 120%. Right. So it can be 120%. Okay. So to convert percent into decimal, we drop the percentage sign and shift the decimal point to the 2 places. So suppose you want to convert a percent into a decimal. Suppose you want to convert a percent into decimal. Okay, that is basically the fraction only. So what you will do is, Let me write that also over here. To convert, suppose what is 6 upon 5? That is 1.2. You will see that is also represented by a percent. So this is saying that suppose you need a decimal, not a percent, or suppose you are given a percent, you need a decimal. So better way is to find the fraction and then divide. But if you do not have the time, then what you can do is to convert a percent into a decimal. Decimal means that one point in these point numbers. Okay. To convert a percent into a decimal, comma, we drop percent sign, and shift the decimal point two places to the left, right? So to convert a percent into a decimal, we drop percent sign, that is this, and shift the decimal point the two places to the left. Suppose if you want to calculate what is the decimal equivalent of 120%, so what it be, which implies that, so for 120%, we will drop the percent sign, so it will become 120, and we'll shift the decimal 2 point to the left, that is 1.20. And you can clearly see 6 upon 5 was also 1.20. And similarly, if we take 80%, right? So we'll drop the percentage sign, and we'll take the decimal two places to the left, so it would be 0.80. And you can clearly see 4 upon 5 was also 0.80. 6 upon 5 was also 1.20. Okay, so that is what we are studying, that how to convert a fraction into percent and vice versa, right? Okay, so let us have an example and let us express each of the following as decimals. So let us follow this particular method and find this. Okay, so according to the method, what 65% is what? It should be 0.65. But if you do not want to follow that method, then follow the simple logic. Remove percentage sign, so it will give you 1 upon 100, and you can clearly see it is 0.65. So that is how fast this method is. Similarly, we can calculate this 0.1% within 10 seconds, right? 0.1%, remove the percent sign, so it would be 0.1 upon 100, and it will give you 0.001, right? You can do that. So that is basically the percentage as decimals. Okay, so let us not talk about how to convert a decimal into a fraction. Okay, so we already know how to convert it. We just remove the decimal portion and add as many zeros as the decimal places in the denominator, and you just have to identify 1 upon 100 because you have to write it. Okay, so we can write the method as to convert a decimal into a percent, comma, we shift to convert a decimal into a percent, we shift the decimal point two places to the right. Because when we were converting a percentage into decimal, we did the opposite. We shifted the decimal point to the two places of left, but here we are shifting it to two places to the right. Okay, so now if we try to solve this question, then it becomes very easy using the above method. I can directly write as what? 3.7%. Okay, because I just have to shift it, but let us see the method. What is the actual method? So our conventional method says that to remove this decimal, it would be 0.037. So if you have to remove this decimal, you have to add 3 zeros because there are 3 digits after the decimal. So it would be 37 upon 1000. That is 37 upon 10 into 1 upon 100. I can separate this. Okay, I can separate this. If you want this, you can do like this. Otherwise, you have your conventional method. So the conventional method says that whatever be the fraction, just multiply by the 100 and add percentage symbol. We have just seen this method. Cancel them out and it would be 37 upon 10%, which would be nothing but 3.7%. Okay. Let us talk about second part. It is 0.275, which is nothing but 275 upon 1000. Okay. So we'll multiply by 100. Multiply by 100 and have a percentage sign. Then we will have 275 upon 10 because two zeros would cancel out from each other. So it would be 275 upon 10%, which is nothing but 27.5%. Okay, now here if you apply the method, you just have to shift two decimals to the right and it would be 27.5%. Okay, so it is absolutely easy. Whether you go by the conventional method, whether you go by these methods, just shifting the decimals. Percentage and its applications are quite easy to use when you know the correct method. Okay, so let us start with a question that express 75 paise as percent of 5. Okay, so the question is very simple. We have to actually express 75 paise as a percent of 5. Obviously you know that 1 rupee is equals to 100 paise. So first of all we have to convert rupees 5 into paise. So rupee 5 is equals to 500 paise. We already know that 1 rupee is equals to 100 paise, since rupee 1 is equals to 100 paise, right? So 5 rupees equals to 500 paise. Now we want to express 75 paise as a percent of 5. Okay, so let it be x percent. Okay, let 75 paise be x percent of, let 75 paise be x percent of rupees 5. Okay, so if 75 paise are x percent of rupees 5, that implies that x percent of rupees 5 means 500 paise. X percent of 500 paise is equals to 75 paise, right? So we have to calculate x, which simply means x percent means per 100, of means multiply, and x upon 100 of 500 is equals to 75. Okay, so that is basically we have formed an equation. We now just have to solve it, which is very easy. We cancel out two zeros with two zeros. We will have 5x is equals to 75, which will give us x is equals to, dividing both sides by 5, we will get x equals to 75 upon 5, which is nothing but 15, right? So if I have to represent the actual answer, then we can write hence 15% of rupees 5 is 75 paise. Okay, so 15% of rupees 5 is 75 paise. So you can very easily calculate these type of questions. Okay, so let us talk about the percentage increase and percentage decrease. Okay, obviously it has some percent, so let us talk about the percentage increase and decrease. So suppose sometimes it happens that you have something and it increases by a number, so you are interested in what percent you have increases. Suppose you had 80 bottles and you just got 5 bottles more, so what percentage of bottles have you gotten more? Suppose you have 80 bottles and now you have lost 5 bottles, so how many percentage decrease has been observed in your collection? Okay, so let's talk about, one thing to be remembered is that percentage increase or percentage decrease or any kind of change, fractional change, is calculated on the original value, that is the initial value. Once more, so what I'm trying to saying is, suppose initially you have 80 bottles and you lost or gained any number of bottles, but their percentage of fractional change would be calculated on this 80 bottles because 80 was your initial state. Okay, so that is how you are calculating the percentage. Otherwise you need something for comparison, so your initial value is the best thing to compare. So we can say the percent increase the percent increase of a quantity is, percentage increase of a quantity is increase, that is whatever be the increase, suppose upon original value. I told you that everything is calculated on the original value. This is the fractional change, fractional increase into 110%. And now this is the fractional increase. If you want percentage increase, just multiply by 100 and add percentage. That is the standard method, right? So this is the most important thing. Even more important than this percentage increase, that is the fractional increase. Okay, that is, suppose now you have 80 bottles and you got 5 more. Then 5 is the increase, whole upon 80 into 100. So 5 upon 80 is something 1 upon 16. Okay, so 1 upon 16 into 100. That would be the percentage increase. Similarly, percentage decrease is the same formula, exact same formula, just replace increase by decrease. Okay, so we can write the percent decrease of a quantity. The percent decrease of a quantity is, percent decrease of a quantity is nothing, the same formula, just decrease upon original value into 100%, right? So percentage increase is increase upon original value into 100%, and percentage decrease is decrease upon original value into 100%. So everything is calculated on the original values. We'll see more on this on cost price and selling price. That also you will find that whether it is discount, profit or loss, everything is calculated on a certain type of price. We'll talk about it, but you should remember that your initial value is the value which you use to compare your increase and decrease with. Okay, so let us actually solve a question and find the applications of all these concepts which we are talking about. So a fruit seller has 2000 fruits in total. Okay, there can be multiple types of fruits, but total number of fruits is 2000, and it is given also that he has mangoes, bananas and oranges. So 20% of these are mangoes, 25% are bananas, and the rest. Now what is rest? Obviously, now there is the concept, anything as whole is 100%. We consider anything as a whole as 100%. So if 20% are mangoes, 25% are banana, then what is rest? Rest is 55%. So all 55% are oranges. Okay, so it is a very easy question, beginner levels question on this particular concept. Okay, so mangoes are 20% of 2000, right? That is 20% means 20 upon 100, of means multiply 2000, so we'll cancel the zeros and we'll get 400. So mangoes are, number of mangoes equals to 400. Okay, so comma, number of mangoes is equals to 400. Okay, let us talk about the number of bananas. Now bananas are 25%. Bananas are 25% of 2000, right? That is, we can write 25. Now remove percentage sign and divide by 100. Of means into, so this would be 25 by 100 into 2000. We'll cancel 2 zeros and we will get 500, right? So number of bananas is equals to 500, right? So we have 500 bananas and 400 mangoes. Now we have to calculate the number of oranges. Okay, so either you can calculate it by the 55% thing, or you can clearly see the total number of fruits were 2000. You have got 400 mangoes, 500 bananas. So what is the total number of oranges? Since comma, in total there were 2000 fruits. Since in total there were 2000 fruits, 2000 fruits, comma, so number of oranges is equals to what? See, 2000 were fruits, subtract number of mangoes and subtracting number of bananas, we will get 1100. That is, the rest 1100 are oranges. Okay, so you could find like that also, and you can use that 55% thing, because 20% are mangoes, 25% are bananas, so 45% has gone. The remaining 55% are obviously oranges. If you calculate that way also, still you will get the same answer. Okay, let us move on to the next question. Okay, now this question says that Ram's salary is 20% more than Sham's. Okay, how much percent is Sham's income less than Ram? Now most of the people will try to answer 20% only, sir. If I am 20% taller than him, he must be 20% smaller than him. In that case, yes, it is true, but in percentage it is not true. Okay, because his percentage and your percentage would be calculated on different original values. I just told you that percentage increase and percentage decrease are calculated on the original values, right? So Ram's original value and Sham's original value, that is the income, original income, would be different. Okay, so let us solve this question. These types of questions are very easy. You just have to know the concept, right? Suppose Sham's income is rupees 100. Let us start by taking Sham's income, because Ram's salary is more than Sham. So Sham's salary is obviously less. So let us start by taking it to be 100 for ease. Because we are talking about percent, so we can take any number, but 100 is easy. So we are just assuming, okay, suppose Sham's income is equals to rupees 100. You can take it X or Y also. Okay, in this way, in 100 way, it is easy. That is why I am taking 100. Then what will be Ram's income? Ram's income is 20% more. So 20% of 100 is 20 rupees. So Ram's income is what? 20% more than Sham's. Ram's income is Sham's income plus 20% of Sham's income. Because see, Ram's income is more than Sham, but how many percent? 20%. So we are adding 20% of Sham's income so that we can get Ram's income. So it would be 100, and 20% of 100 is 20 by 100 of 100, that is 20. So you can clearly see that Ram's income would be 120. And yes, it is satisfying the condition. So yes, 20% more. Now we have to calculate that how much percent is Sham's income less than Ram's. Okay, so for that particular thing, we have to take the base as 120, because Ram's income would be here the original value. Okay, so you can clearly see we'll use a unitary method, which is very easy. I'll tell you this method, what it method is. Suppose you have 100 chocolates for 1000 rupees. So with this particular thing, with this particular information that you got 100 chocolates of 1000 rupees, you can calculate the cost of one chocolate, and you can also calculate that in 1 rupee how many chocolates can come. Both the things can be calculated, and that is something called unitary method. Let us see what it is. So you can see, if Ram's income is rupees 120, comma, then Sham's income is rupees 100. That is true. Okay, so if Ram's income is 120, Sham's income is 100 rupees. If, which clearly implies that if Ram's income is rupee 1, then what will be Sham's income? Then it just simply says that divide both sides by 120 and you will get 1, and here you will get rupees 100 upon 120, right? So if Ram's income is rupees 1, then Sham's income will be rupees 100 upon 120. You can clearly see we are applying the unitary method. Now with this equation, that Ram's income 100, Ram's income 120, and Sham's income 100, you can calculate what will be the Ram's income when Sham's income is rupees 1, and similarly you can calculate what will be the Sham's income when we make Ram's income as rupees 1. So we'll divide both of them by 120 and we'll get Ram's income as rupees 1. So obviously Shyam's income is less, so this fraction it would be less than 1. It would be something 0.8 or 0.9, whatever it is. It would be something 0.8 something. So yes, Shyam's income is less than Ram's income, so we are maintaining the method. Now, to calculate the percentage, we need per 100. So this 100 upon 120. So if you multiply by 100 and add a percentage sign, we will get the percentage. So we'll get the percentage of Shyam's income with respect to Ram's income, and you can calculate the difference. Let me tell you what I'm saying. You can do this by implies that if Ram's income is rupees 100, then Shyam's income equals to, now you multiplied 1 by 100, multiply them also, so it will be 100 upon 120 into 100, right? So if we cancel the zeros, it would be something rupees 83 1 by 3, right? So if Ram's income is 100 rupees and Shyam's income is just 83 1 by 3 rupees, so you can easily calculate that we have gotten Shyam's income per 100 of Ram's income. So you can clearly see that Shyam's income is just 83 1 by 3% of Ram's income, and you can calculate the difference. Okay, so the final answer would be the difference. We have to calculate how much Shyam's income is less. We can clearly see it is less, but how much percent? So that is we have to calculate. So something upon 100 means percentage. You can clearly see we have done all these things just to calculate Shyam's income per 100 of Ram's income. Okay, so Shyam's income is 100 minus 83 1 by 3%. Okay, if you calculate it, it would be 16 2 by 3. Multiply 83 by 3 plus 1. Okay, so taking the LCM, you will get 16 2 by 3%. Okay, so Shyam's income is this much percent less than Ram's income. So you can clearly see that you must be thinking that yes, Ram's salary is 20% more and Shyam's salary would be 20% less, but that is not the case, because in percentage the denominators makes all the difference. You can clearly see in Shyam's income the denominator was Ram's income because you are comparing it with Ram. But in the previous case, if you see in Ram's income, actually the denominator was Shyam's income because we were calculating Ram's salary on the basis of Shyam's salary. So we have calculated 20% of Shyam. Similarly here, if you want to calculate Shyam's income on the comparison of Ram's income, then the denominator must be his income. Okay, so that is the feeling behind the question. So you should always try these type of question, and this is the unitary method. Okay, so 120 corresponds to 100 and 1 corresponds to this. So you can you learn this method using the chocolate method. Okay, let us move on to the next question and try to solve it. Now this question says that the prices of pulses increased by 30%. By how much percent should Nalini reduce her consumption of pulses so that her expenditure of pulses does not increase? Okay, so if she spends suppose 100 rupees, now it has increased by 30%, so now she has to spend 130 rupees, simple. So if she do not want to spend 30 rupees extra, she has only 100 rupees to spend, then she has to reduce the consumption of pulses. Okay, if she was taking 1 kg, she have to reduce it. Okay, so what is the reduction percentage? Okay, how much percent must she reduce eating the pulses so that the expenditure on the pulses remain the same? So I think you all got the question. So let us start the question. And again, this 100 method is very easy, and students, you should always follow it, because compared to other methods, there are also other methods, but this assuming something to be 100 is very easy. Okay, so let us start. The prices of pulses increased by 30%. By how much percent should Nalini reduce her consumption of pulses so that her expenditure on pulses does not increase? So we can start by, suppose original consumption. See, because we are calculating consumption, so we have to assume that only. Suppose original consumption pulses is equals to 100 kg. Okay, suppose you were consuming 100 kg pulses. Okay, and what is the cost? Suppose the price of 100 kg pulses is rupees 100, that is rupees 1 per kg. Okay, so assuming everything to be 100 is very easy. It will make the question very easy, right? So now we have to suppose the price, because price is the only thing which is increased, and consumption will be the thing which will be decreased. Okay, so suppose price of 100 kg pulses equals to rupees 100, right? Suppose price of 100 kg pulses is equals to rupees 100. Okay, then now it was the previous price. Now the prices has increased by 30%. So what are the new prices? So let us write the new prices. Okay, now increased prices, or you can say increased price for same 100 kg. Increased price of 100 kg pulses is equals to rupees 130, because it is 30% more. So by now you must be very aware of calculating how to calculate percent. So it would be 100 rupees plus 30% of 100 rupees, that is 30 rupees. So 100 plus 30, 130 rupees. So that is the increased price, which is 30% obviously more than the previous prices. Okay, but Nalini does not want to spend more than rupees 100. Okay, but question specifically says that Nalini does not want to spend more than rupees 100. Okay, so you just have to calculate that after increasing the prices. See, obviously now 130 rupees will give you 100 kg. So you just have to calculate that now after the increased price, what 100 rupees will get you. So let me give you an example before proceeding further. Suppose you have 100 rupees and you always buy 10 chocolates with it. Okay, now the price of chocolates gets doubled. Okay, so now the 10 rupees chocolate has become 20 rupees, but you have only 100 rupees. So now what this 100 rupees will get you? Okay, you will go to the shopkeeper and he will give you 5 chocolates of 20 rupees each. Okay, so now this 100 rupee is only able to purchase 5 chocolates, but previously it used to purchase 10 chocolates. So you can clearly see with respect to 10, 5 is half. So yes, that there is a reduction of 50%. That is what we are calculating. So now we will go into market and we will inquire that what 100 rupees will get us. How many kgs? Suppose 80 kgs or 85 kgs. Suppose that 100 rupees is now getting you 85 kgs of pulses. Okay, so you will use them, you will reduce your consumption to 85 kg. So in comparison of consumption, previously 100, now 85, so reduction of 15%. That is what we are doing. Okay, so we'll go with on the market with this rupees 100 and we'll see that how much we get. But Nalini does not want to spend more than 100 rupees, right? So we'll calculate. Therefore, now again unitary method comes into play. For it is very interesting method for rupees 130, and it very fun loving also, right? Very funny method. See how for rupees 130 Nalini gets 100 kg pulses, right? 130 rupees will give you 100 kg. So what 1 rupee will give you? 100 divided by 130. That is simple. Okay, so for rupees 1 comma Nalini, for rupees 1 Nalini gets 100 upon 130 kg. You will divide both of them by 130, so it will become 1. Similarly, using this method you can also calculate what is the cost of 1 kg. You will divide both sides by 100, then here it will be 1 kg. So 1 kg will be of 130 upon 100, that is 1.3 rupees. Okay, that is what I was taking. So this unitary method is very useful both ways. Here we are calculating rupees 1 will give you how many kg of pulses, but you can also calculate that what is the cost of 1 kg in rupees. So we are interested in now in rupees only. Okay, so for rupees 1 Nalini gets 100 upon 130 kg pulses. So what we have to just calculate what 100 rupees will get us. Okay, So 4 rupees 100, comma, Nalini gets, we were getting 100 upon 130, okay, kg pulses, so we'll multiply by 100. So 100 into this kg of pulses, that is, if we calculate it, it would be 1000 upon 13 kg pulses. Okay, so it will be 1000 upon 13 kg pulses. So now we have to just calculate the reduction. Obviously it would be less than 100 kg. Okay, that is what we are calculating that is why we are calculating the reduction. Okay, so therefore, since you have calculated everything on 100, so you can directly calculate the reduction. No need to use the percentage decrease formula. Okay, so reduction in consumption is equals to 100 minus 1000 by 13%. So why are you adding percentage? I'll tell you that since you are calculating everything out of 100, so you are actually calculating everything on percentage basis only. So after taking the LCM and solving it, you must be getting 300 upon 13, or if you convert it into mixed fraction, it would be 23 1 by 13%. So almost 25%, but she has to reduce her consumption by 23 1 by 13%. Now let me give you a reason why we have not used the reduction formula. Let me take you to the formula and explain it there only. See, decrease upon original value into 100. Now suppose your original value is 100 itself. So 100 will cancel out with 100. So decrease would be the percentage only. Once again, suppose your original value is 100. Okay, so you will cancel 100 with 100. So you will only get decrease. Percentage of decrease is what? Final minus initial. Simple. Okay, so in this case, in this question, we have calculated everything out of 100. So final minus initial was loss. So it was decrease. So calculation decrease is final minus initial. Okay, you can directly calculate final minus initial. But because it would turn out to be negative, so we have taken initial minus final. That is the change. Okay. So previously she used to have 100 kg. Now she will have this kg. But all of this calculation has been done per 100. Okay. So you will directly get the percentage. Right. Let us move on to the next question, which says a student scores. Again, it is a very easy question and it is very relatable by you all, because we all give exams and we all are very aware of the percentage that we get. So a student scores 40 marks in an examination and fails by 26 marks. Okay. If the passing percentage is 33, then find the maximum marks in the examination. Okay. So if the paper was of 100 marks, 40 marks would mean 40%. So he must be passed. Now he is getting failed. Simple is that paper is more than 100 marks. So this way you can approximate some of the answers also, right? So let us start. Let the maximum marks in the examination is 100. Okay. We know it is not 100, but let it be, because we take everything to be 100. So let the maximum marks which we have to find, we are assuming, we are not finding it, we will find. Let the maximum marks in the exam is 100. Then he needs 33%. He needs 33%. That is 33% of 100. That is 33 marks to pass the exam. Okay, so pass the exam, he needs 33 marks. Okay, but passing marks required at 40, but he failed by 26 marks. So the passing marks were 40 plus 26, that is 66 marks. But passing marks required are 40 plus 26, because he got 40, still he failed by 26 marks. So the passing marks were 26 more than 40, that is 66 marks. So passing marks required is 66 marks. So for 100 marks, passing marks are 33. So you can clearly analyze that For 66 marks, the paper would be of 200 marks. So 200 is the answer, but let us calculate using the unitary method. Okay, it is easy, but that does not mean that we will not study the method. Okay, so now you can see at how to apply unitary method here. Now 33 marks are required to pass. Now 33 marks are required to pass if maximum marks are 100, right? So 33 marks are required to pass if maximum marks are 100. So 1 mark is required to pass if maximum mark is, so 1 mark, not marks, 1 mark is required if maximum marks are what? Divide 100 by 33. Okay, so if so 1 mark is required if maximum marks are 100 by 33. Hence 66. We have to calculate that for 66 marks what should be the maximum marks of the exam. Hence 66 marks, that is the unitary method. We have calculated for 1 mark what are the if passing mark is 1, then what are the marks of the paper? Now passing marks are 63, then hence 63 marks are required to pass. Let me complete the sentence. To pass the exam if maximum marks, not passing marks, if maximum marks are what? If maximum marks are 100 into 66 upon 33, right? Because 100 by 33, you will multiply them by 66. So it would give you, if you cancel them out, it would be 200 marks. So that is how you will actually take out the answer. Okay, so 33 marks are required to pass if the paper is of 100 marks. 1 mark is required to pass if the paper is of 100 upon 33, that is 3.33 marks. Okay, and 66 marks are required to pass if the paper is of 200 marks. Here if you can see that you are not required to write this particular step, because it is not required. You can directly from the observation see that if you double the passing marks, then the maximum marks should also double, because percentage is same. It is simple, and that if percentage is same, then if the passing marks are getting doubled, then the maximum marks should also double. So that was the feeling behind this question. So I hope you all got this lecture in which we talked about percentage, and we all talked about the application of percentage in these types of questions. Okay, in the next lecture we are going to talk about profit, loss and discount. Till then lecture, goodbye.